Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And today we're talking minute 66 of Predator. You could call this the Order 66 of minutes from Revenge of the Sith, where all the clone troopers had a little code switched on in their brains by the Emperor and killed all the Jedi. Do you remember that part?
Commander Cody.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
I do remember that part. I would have never known it's 66.
Yeah,
Nerd.
You say that, but who's seeing the new Star Wars on opening night, Thursday night next week?
And I am stoked. Don't get me wrong.
I am,
I'm
super
into
stoked.
it. I hope I'm sitting in between a guy dressed as Fat Bobby and
Barbie.
Darth Vader.
Was she a big fat person?
Was you a big fat person? You puts the lotion in the basket.
And a big fat Darth Vader. Nice.
I did when I chose my seat. It was like all blue. It was like all, taken, or I guess it's gray on the screen. They're all gray, except for there's one single blue seat, like right in the middle of the theater. And that's the one I grabbed.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have no idea who I'm sitting around, but.
Hey, well, it'll be a fun little experience.
Yeah. I am super stoked.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Everything's like living, breathing Star Wars and anticipation for me these days.
I know. I'm gonna do a little Star Wars watching to kind of catch up and get ready. I want to rewatch The Last Jedi because it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Been a while.
And I need to catch up with The Mandalorian. I haven't seen any of those yet.
Good.
I've been wanting to rewatch Rogue One. Because I watched that a while back, and I just listened to a podcast about it recently, and it made me want to rewatch it. And it's been a couple of years actually. So,
is that podcast going to be recommend, or do you want to name it right here?
No, I can. It was actually Friendly Fire.
Oh,
on their bonus feed, they do
bonus.
Yeah, they kind of do like what they call pork chop movies on their bonus feed, and they did Rogue One, and they reviewed it as a war movie, and it was really good actually.
That's what I've heard a lot of people talk about that movie as like the war movie of Star Wars. Ironically enough, a series called Star Wars doesn't always feel quite like a war is going on, but that one definitely makes it feel like that. Yeah,
and I just love the idea of this. Like they take the opening credits from A New Hope, and they're like, "Well, let's just take this little story and tease it out, and what would that look like?"
Yeah.
I love that. That's a cool idea.
That's a cool idea. I would love to see more of that, but we're talking Predator. Sorry, Predator, putting you on the back burner for all the Star Wars hype, but if you had a new movie coming out right now too, we'd be probably hyping that up too. But we're talking minute 66, and in order 66 of this minute.
Order 66.
We open with Dutch looking at Anna after her analog, and it ends with Dutch walking over the team's trap, not trying to trip traps.
It's a trap!
Not trying to trip the trap.
Don't trip the trap.
Don't trip the trap. So, Jeff, why don't you take us from the top?
Sure. We've got about 22 seconds, I suppose you would break this up into. The first 22 seconds here carries over from last minute. And we've got Dutch continuing to stare at Anna after her analog. And then we just get some shots. Mac looks at Dutch.
Sorry, I totally biffed that. It's Dylan looking between Dutch and Mac. Okay, my mistake. I had Mac on the brain.
Yeah.
How can you not?
And I probably shouldn't just read verbatim what you wrote, but I find that it keeps me focused.
All right, we're right the right name.
I'm like Ron Burgundy. I'll just read whatever is in front of me.
From the entire Channel 4 News team, I'm Veronica Corningstone.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
That was a good one. That was a good show.
Okay, I'm going to take it from the top there.
All right, take it from the top.
All right, so we got the first 22 seconds here is our carryover from last minute, of course. And Dutch continues staring at Anna after her analog. And then we get some shots. We get Dylan. He's looking between Dutch and Mac.
Mac.
And Dutch's face is sort of shadowed by some birds, and we get a little fake out there, a little like very light bird jump scare that's not really scary. Panchito makes a quick appearance, wearing no hat. He looks kind of nervous towards the trap area, and then we get a line from Dylan. And I have to. Do you want to give Dylan's line here real quick?
Sure. He looks over at Dutch and says, "So what are you going to try next? Cheese?"
When I first listened through this, I kind of forgot about this line. So when I was watching the minute,
too.
I thought at very first I thought you said, "So what are you going to try next? Cheese?" Like he was calling him Cheese.
That's one of his many nicknames.
Right.
Back when he's part of the team.
I was like, why is he calling him Cheese? Did I miss something? Is that a nickname? And then I realized, comma, cheese. Okay, I get it. Cheese as in a trap, but take the bait.
Yeah.
I'm a little slow, folks. Don't mind me.
Well, it's really cold where you are. The brain.
That's right.
It's a little bit slower when.
For those of you that don't know, I am podcasting in my garage, and it's about 32 degrees outside right now, or something.
Thanks, Cheese. So,
thanks, Cheese. So
I have to dive in. I too forgot about this moment where he says, "What are you going to try next? Cheese." It's one of these examples in a movie of like not necessarily telling a joke as much as like trying to keep the characters a little bit realistic. I think with like a little bit of like banter, which is nice that the team can still have that. But at the same time, it's like this is literally seconds after Anna just talked about how this thing comes to Earth during the hottest summers and skins the people in the area. And he's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do to catch this thing? Well, maybe you got a hunk of cheese. Yeah,
he's being a bit flippant considering the gravity of the situation, isn't he?
Yeah. Would that be you, do you think, like Kraken-wise? I think that would be a little bit me, like either through nervousness or just like trying to break some tension or just like, this is honestly really boring just sitting here staring at the jungle floor.
Yeah, I probably would. That sounds like something I would do. Absolutely. I deal with stress and tension by making bad jokes, probably at inappropriate times.
Sure.
Yeah.
This would be a good time to start Kraken-wise. I mean, what do you have to lose? Dutch firing back, but Dutch doesn't fire back. Dutch, plays the part of the leader. Are you done talking about the first part? Because I don't have a whole lot to say about the first part.
Yeah, no, that's about it. Yeah, jump on.
I guess it's really nice seeing Panchito again, and this time, like you said, he's not wearing his hat and his hair is spiked up, a la Dutch. I would argue he's like trying to pull a mini Dutch.
He's trying to be like Cheese.
Yeah, trying to be like the big cheese, the Dutch cheese. What in the world is Dutch cheese?
I don't know, but it sounds delicious.
It sounds like it's one of those things that could be delicious, but it could also be really, really terrible.
It might be like lamb intestine ground up with something else, and they just call it cheese.
My instinct said really stinky cheese, and when I look at the list of Dutch cheeses, one of them is Limburger, which is notorious for its how would you say, delicate smell?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually had Limburger cheese.
I haven't either, so I might just be talking from all the stereotypical depictions in media when people smell Limburger and the cartoon figures are repulsed by it. So maybe it's actually delicious. So sorry, Limburger.
Yeah, I'm looking at Pancho's hair again. He really does have a full-on kind of little coif going on there. Mm-hmm. He's really poofed it up, nice and spiky.
Yeah, and this is his look for the movie onward. This is Panchito's attempt at like I was saying, like a mini Dutch, or like you were saying, like a stylish coif. Like I'm going to go out in style. If we're going to go down fighting, I'm going to go down with my hair did.
I'm going to spike it up. Look my best.
Yep. Gotta look your best.
All right. So do you want to take us through the next sequence here?
Sure. Let's take it from the second top. Here we go. So we cut to Dutch reacting to Dylan's cheese line by walking out of the hiding spot along the edge of the trap at first, and then slowly Dutch is making his way into the middle of the trap while Dylan does that classic whisper yell, Dutch, Dutch.
Touch.
As Billy and Dylan and Anna look on, Dutch makes his way across the large ground trap, looking really cautious, trying really hard not to step on really any vines, and doing a really good job of it. At one point, he almost trips himself.
Yeah, he gets a little bit stuck on that foot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he almost triggers the treadle trap, but he somehow wiggles his foot free just in time and not actually triggering it. And then we end the minute with the wide shot after we look right at Dutch with the camera and him pointing the gun at the camera. We end on a wide shot of Dutch's back as he's making his way into the clearing further and further and slowly. So what do you have for this section?
Well, if I'm watching this for the first time, I'm wondering what his plan of action is here.
Yeah, me too.
Like, why are you walking out and delicately stepping over these wires and putting yourself in a lot of harm's way? Like, what's your end game here, Dutch, is what I'm wondering.
With Dylan obviously giving us the line about cheese, that is what is spiking Dutch into action. That's what's pushing him out there, I believe. I have to take that to mean that he thinks of cheese as a classic bait in a trap. And so maybe he's thinking, I have to be the bait in the trap. But that said, does the team know what to do if he's putting himself out in the trap and something happens to him? Because if you're the bait in the trap, sometimes, you're going to be victimized by whatever you're trying to trap.
Yeah, I feel like the people watching on have to be thinking this is kind of a reckless move. And puts them into position where what are they going to do if, something starts going to shit here? They don't really have a lot of recourse. You mentioned that this little sequence of him just slowly walking out into the trap is kind of a mundane sequence in a sense, but there's a very famous screen grab here, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Not only is the shot of him pointing his gun slightly to the right of the camera and looking at the camera at second 54, not only is that shot used as an alternate take for the poster for Predator, but also in 1987, it was used for another cover art, and that's for the NES game Contra, which I thought was really interesting considering the timing of the movie, because the movie Predator is released in June of 1987, and Contra on the NES is released in February of 1987. So they must have seen some stills. They must have seen, I don't know, like the early test footage, the Contra people, because if that's what is on their cover and it comes out first, I thought that was just really interesting timing. I didn't dive into like if Predator, if like 20th Century Fox ever like reached out and tried to sue for, an image lifted right from a movie. But I think forever and ever, Contra is, at least the cover art, is known for having that depiction of Arnold, and then behind him the clear depiction of Stallone as Rambo. Yeah,
like I might think that it was just, it's probably just a coincidence, but when you look at it along next to the screen grab, it is straight up like exactly the same. Like they've taken it and they've just taken that image and animated it, and then just changed the facial feature so it doesn't look like Arnold, and they threw a headband on him. But yeah, man, it is like spot on. I was shocked at how similar those two shots are. And then you're right, the guy on the Contra cover kind of to the right with the red bandana on is clearly meant to invoke a little Rambo there, a little First Blood.
Yeah, and I'm looking at just the Google images for that right now, and yeah, while they're making the background, the other character look like Stallone with the red headband and the dark hair, when I click on the Google images, there's, and I can post this, I'll post this real quick in the notes, you'll see it too. You'll see that, yes, the lead guy definitely looks like Dutch looking at the camera, but the guy in the background with the red bandana also looks exactly like a pose that Dutch had in the movie Predator, just leaning to the side, holding the exact same weapon in the exact same pose, the exact same muscles, same jawline, and same look to the side. All that's different is the hair and the bandana that were changed and added.
Do you think the monster in the background looks kind of like the alien?
Yeah, the background monster always reminded me of Alien.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, in Contra, there is like a there's little creatures that look like face huggers towards the end. I think on the last boss, Red Falcon, there's some face hugger minions he's sending out, and I don't remember if it's Contra 1, but definitely in Contra 3, there's like a xenomorph looking head that you have to take on. So yeah, there's some heavy influences here in the late 80s. Definitely some Aliens and Predator influences going on in video games.
Oh yeah, now I'm looking at the side-by-side shot of the other guy on the Contra, what you were just talking about. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you have to post those to the Palapa.
Definitely. Yeah. I'll just lift it from the Google and put it on there. But
yeah, check that out, everybody. Crazy. It's pretty surprising how close it is. It's kind of crazy.
So let's see. Where were we in the whole imagery? Where were we in the description here?
Music?
Sure. Yeah. It's a little bit. The second part is a little bit longer. It's around 38 seconds, 38 to 40 seconds. And while it's a longer cut here or a longer scene here, they're trying to keep the suspense up, and one way they're doing that is with the music, playing these, I would say, semi-suspenseful music. It's not like high suspense, because high suspense can't really be sustained for half a minute to a minute long. You really have to kind of cut it down and use it sparingly. But here I feel like the music is really used well here, with these long low notes that are, I don't know, almost remind me of like someone playing the piano, but like I think it's strings. I don't know if it's strings or woodwinds. I'm not really sure. I don't know my instruments, but I do know like that kind of like at one point it's like do.
It sounds like, I think strings is right. It sounds like cello perhaps, because that deeper kind of lower sound. Yeah, the music here really helps, because although all we're seeing is him just sort of slowly walking out into this trap area, the music really helps to build the tension, and we're really not sure what's going to happen, if we're watching this for the first time.
And I would say it's appropriate that it's kind of quieter too, because he is trying to be super, super quiet, but at the same time he's out in the opening, so it's interesting, his tactic here. We don't really know. There's no communication among the team. I was going to say, I would argue that him doing this and them not discussing a lot is just another, tick on the log of leadership for him. Yeah. He's just being a good leader, and like he's doing himself. He's putting himself out there as the bait. He's not trying to make one of his teammates go in his place and be sacrificed. Because if one of the teammates win, they'd be toast right here. We'd be added to the kill count.
Right. I was going to mention that in the listeners' Palapa on Facebook, a listener made a post about a conversation we had. It was either last minute or a couple minutes ago. We were trying to kind of decide why he was setting all these traps down in the trees. Yeah, because the predator is in the trees. But our listener pointed out that at one point he mentioned setting tripwires up into the trees, which may indicate that by doing that, he set them up intentionally so that the predator could see them and would drive him down to the jungle floor, potentially kind of into this trap area. And so I thought that was a good catch. It was something I didn't quite catch on the first time around. So shoot, I can't remember that poster's name, but
that's Joseph Parker. He's posted a few times.
Nice, yeah. So Joseph Parker, thank you for that. And I thought that was a good insight and a good explanation for why they've set all this up on the jungle floor.
This is I never noticed these tripwires until now, but if you're looking for them, you will see them in this minute as Dutch is making his way into the clearing. Behind him, you see just a mess of jungle, but you also see one or two tripwires. You see one in front of Billy's face. You see them kind of going diagonal this way and that way on the outside of the trap. So I don't know if you saw that, but I am seeing that just as clearly as probably the Predator is seeing that too, especially in front of Billy's face. But it's really, really exciting to find these little things in the details, like the shot of him, of Dutch looking at the camera, pointing his gun at the camera. Right behind him, there is a diagonal line and maybe one more diagonal line of that tripwire, nested against the edge of the forest wall, so that, like Joseph was saying, if the Predator sees it, Predator's probably going to take the low ground where it's a little bit safer.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying watching this movie kind of 1 minute, 1 week at a time. Yeah. I'm trying really hard not to watch ahead before we do these episodes. And I've seen this movie a gazillion times, but since we've started watching it minute by minute, I've tried really hard not to watch past the minute.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And so now it's like I know what's going to happen eventually, but I kind of forget what's going to happen in the short term until we get to it. So it's kind of fun. It's sort of watching it this way is sort of like watching it from a new perspective. And it really sort of builds the tension for me. And I'm like, oh, what's going to happen in the next minute? Because right at this moment, I can't quite remember what does happen in the very next minute of this movie. Yeah. Break it down this micro. So
that's a good point. And I feel like with the week in between, I feel like there's always like a week's worth of tension,
right?
Like about to be, either broken or sustained. Like what's going to happen next? I too forget like all the fine little details. Even like you said, I've watched it many, many times, including all the way through probably a month ago, just because I couldn't stop hitting the next minute. Time to hit the next minute. Hit the next minute. So yeah, I'm also enjoying the scene by scene, just like the second by second, soon to be blow by blow account of the movie.
Oh man, I'm excited. We're almost there. Sort of.
Almost there. The script difference is very light in itself. In the script, Dutch does not bait the Predator. He just sits on the outside of the trap with Anna and traps.
It's a trap!
With Anna and Panchito. But more importantly, in the script, it does mention the treadle trap by name. I mentioned the name of this kind of trap with the trigger being a treadle trap. Man, a lot of alliteration today.
Yeah,
a treadle trap trigger. But it's mentioned treadle trap trigger, but it's mentioned in the script a couple times at this point in the movie. And I thought that was neat, seeing that in the script. And I had done a little bit of outside research and learned that, and then seeing it later on. It's kind of validating. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, nice. You were right on.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. And then John McCommentary is kicking back in here for a few seconds here and there. He's talking about going back to Mexico for the second part of the shoot, namely in Palenque, and saying that when they made it to Palenque, they didn't have to fake the jungle because it was much more in season, is much more full there. And he also mentioned how most of the locals helped to build a lot of the things for the set for this second part of the shoot, including a giant concrete log, which he says that a giant concrete log, which we will see later on in the movie. It's going to be used a couple different times for a couple of different scenes. And so there's a surprising amount of details about this giant concrete log that we'll talk about later on in the movie as we see it.
Yeah, I'm curious now, because why do you need it out of concrete? We'll get into it, but they couldn't find a regular log or one that met the specifications that they needed.
Guess we'll talk about it. Yeah, log.
Logs.
Your neighbor's dog. Yeah. So he's and I imagine him saying that here must be indicating that this is Palenque and the real jungle. I'm not really sure. There's still a lot of dead leaves on the ground, but when you see those far shots, it does appear to be pretty green.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm no jungle expert, even though I do this podcast.
I am neither a jungle expert, so it looks pretty jungly to me.
Yeah, pretty jungly all the way through to me.
Yeah.
If you ask me. Yeah.
Which I guess means they did their job.
Yeah, they did their job. Good job, production design.
Yeah.
So we're ready to talk recommends, right?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what do you have to recommend this week, Jeff?
All right. I'm going to recommend, once again, something from Netflix, everyone's favorite streaming service, or maybe not favorite, but you probably have it. This is a stand-up special that came up recently, and this is a comedian who I've really liked for years, and He has several specials on Netflix you can watch, and his name is Mike Birbiglia. And I really like his style of comedy because it's sort of in a storytelling style. And he has a lot of stories about his childhood and growing up and coming of age that he references kind of early on in his work. And his stand-up specials have kind of mirrored his life. And as he's gotten older and gotten married, and most recently he had a kid, his specials kind of touch on all these things that have happened. And he's not that far in age from myself, so it feels very relatable to someone like me who's almost 40. And he's just hilarious. He's really good. If you like his stand-up specials, he also made a small independent movie several years ago, called Sleepwalk with Me, that is sort of autobiographical. It's kind of about him getting into comedy and how that happened and what his life was like and what was going on. And it's really funny. So check out his new special. I believe it's called The New One. And
I like it. The New One.
It's not only it's a little double entendre, because it's not only about it's his new special, but the focus of the special is about his the new addition to their family, their child.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's really funny. It's great. And it's mostly, I wouldn't call it clean comedy, but it's like PG-13. So if that's something you worry about, it's not, I wouldn't say it's R-rated.
Okay.
Yeah. So check out Mike Birbiglia, The New One, on Netflix.
The New One.
It was really great.
Awesome. Like in this phase of the year, this close to Star Wars new release date, I've just been watching all the Star Wars movies in chronological order, and I just finished The Last Jedi a couple days ago. And with the little kids, you can relate to this. I've been watching maybe like 20 minutes or 15 minutes of a movie at a time. So I started planning this and started doing this probably back in September. That's when I started with episode 1, Phantom Menace, and just watched all the way through, including Rogue One and Solo in the appropriate orders. And yeah, just finished a couple days ago, and that was with taking the day off on Monday to be with my sick son. He didn't mind watching some Last Jedi with me.
Oh no, 1-year-olds love The Last Jedi.
Yeah, they love like subverting expectations for what you think a Star Wars is going to be.
Wow, that's impressive. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess, I don't know, I'll recommend a super short thing. Recently Will Ferrell was on SNL. He was hosting again, and SNL will just post little clips of the sketches on their YouTube channel. I'm usually like the day after or a couple days after. And there's one Will Ferrell sketch that just made me laugh so hard. I had to watch it a few times. And it's his SNL Heinz commercial. And it's the introduction of a new Heinz bottle called Heinz Relax, where the beginning problem that they're addressing with the Heinz ketchup bottle is like when you squeeze it, it makes a kind of fart sound, and people make fun of you like, oh, you farted. Exactly. And then Heinz goes on to fix the ketchup bottle, and then next time he squeezes it, it makes a completely different noise that's supposed to be relaxing, but you just have to watch it. I quite a few times
the other day, and it is hilarious.
It is hilarious. I'm not going to give it away, but I'm probably going to watch it here after we're done recording.
The punchline there is pretty good.
It's so good. It's all of 2 minutes, so nice, short, easy recommend.
Good recommend.
Yeah, I'm really not taking in anything else other than my Star Wars content. I just started watching Star Wars Rebels on Disney Plus, so I joined like a new.
An animated thing?
That's an animated thing. I think it takes place in the couple of years before Rogue One, so it's like the stirrings of different rebel groups, and specifically like a little tiny group consisting of mainly a Jedi and a Jedi in training. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's it. So with no more recommends, where can people find you, Jeff?
Oh, I'm on the Twitter. You can find me, Carl_Hungus314. I am Jeff Glover on the Twitter.
My name is Carl. Ich bin expert.
Come follow me there. John, where can we find all of our Predator Minute needs?
Well, I'll start off with the email because I kind of forgot to mention that until later. Last time, you can email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com. You can join the conversation with Joseph and Eric and what's his name? Christopher Dillon, I think his name is. Dillon. And a few Zabriskis, and of course, Jeff Glover at the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa there on the Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at Predator Minute. And for everything Predator Minute Order 66, I've been John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And until next time,
stick around.
Stick around.
Cheese.
Stick around.
So what are you going to try next, Cheese?
They call me the Cheese.
Cheese?
What are you going to try next, you cheese?
Cheese?
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
You're just cheesy. You're cheese.
Just
Cheese?
bodies.
Do you remember being that age, like 5 or 6, and like receiving like really cool Christmas presents?
No. Well, I should take that back. I remember my grandmother gave me the He-Man castle.
Ooh, Grayskull.
Yeah. And it had the thing where like you put the slime in the thing and then you would like turn it over and it would dump slime on whoever was below.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's one of the early like big gift memories I have. And then the other like big gift memory I have wasn't for Christmas though. It was for my birthday. On my 7th birthday, I woke up and ran out into the living room and there was a Nintendo Entertainment Center all set up, ready to go.
Whoa, for Christmas?
Yeah, well, that was for my birthday.
Oh, for your birthday. I totally missed
Yeah,
it. Sorry.
That's okay. But that was 1987. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when the NES was released.
Yeah, it was
80 in the US. I think in Japan it was 85.
Yeah, it was. I had played it a couple times at a friend's house. And apparently my parents set it up the night before and stayed up till like 1 a.m. drinking and playing Duck Hunt.
Like you do.
Yeah. So they were like hungover. And we're like, just go out there and play. So I did. Yeah.
Oh, no, I had that off a couple of years. That was 1985. So you would have been, that's your 6th birthday, right? Because you and I are both born in 79, right?
I was born in April of 80.
Oh, April of 80.
So I got this on my 7th birthday, so April of 87.
Oh, okay. So then it wasn't brand new. It was a couple years old, but still, that was some hype times for.
Yeah, and that was just about when I was old enough to really like be able to even play video games. You know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have a big gift memory?
Oh man, I was like so into G.I. Joes back in the day, in the 80s. That was like Aaron and my jam was just having all the what is it, like 3 3/4 inch action figures.
Oh yeah,
where they could all like hold weapons and their thumbs would always break and the rubber bands would break. Mm-hmm. And so like we'd have to like kind of figure out how to take them apart with like little screwdrivers and like make the figures and kind of mod the figures. But there were a couple years where there's just these huge G.I. Joe headquarters. There was the G.I. Joe, was kind of like a mobile command unit. I'm trying to think of what the name. Let me look up the name of it real quick. It was like a mobile command center. Yeah, I think that was it. The G.I. Joe Mobile Command Center. It was this giant, almost like Jawa sand crawler type of vehicle that kind of unfolded in levels.
Nice.
And that was pretty cool. That was awesome to come down to find. We had, Aaron and I had, and we were all pumped for that. But then the really big one was the Terror Drome, which was the Cobra base that was like this giant, like just like it sounds, like a dome almost, with like a little center that opened up and like this spaceship would take off out of the center there. And they had like turrets and little swinging doors on the bottom level. It was pretty awesome. It was worth a lot of memories there.
That's a good Christmas morning gift there. That's a good one.
Yeah.